Okay, I believe that we're running live now, and I'd like to call order to the meeting. And at this point, I'd like to read the mission. Appleton Public Montessori seeks to nurture the full potential of every child through the presence of the Montessori philosophy in all learning environments, encourage intrinsic motivations, and instilling a love of learning now and for a lifetime. I'd like to ask for universal consent for the agenda and approval of the meeting minutes for the last board meeting. Hearing no objections, I'd like to ask, hearing no objections, help me out a little bit.
Hearing no objections, the agenda and minutes are approved.
The agenda and minutes are approved. At this time, I'd like to ask our secretary, Matt, to please pull up the agenda and introduce the agenda.
I do not have screen sharing, and I can't share the agenda the whole time because I'm typing on a different document. Yeah, I don't know who has hosting.
I can share. I can share the agenda.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bear with us tonight, folks. We are co-presidenting as we transition presidents this year. So thank you to Sarah. I do have to say that. Thank you so much for moving into this role. All right, there's the agenda. Are you seeing it now? Yes? No?
Yes.
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 So it looks like we have a guest speaker today. Ben, I apologize, Ben, if I mispronounce your last name. Champeau from Community Committee.
Yep.
Ben, you have the floor.
Oh, okay. I think I'm just supposed to introduce myself and say hi. You guys can hear me all right? I just want to make sure you can hear me.
We can.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I had applied, filled out that application for joining a committee and had reached out to Andrea to see if there was anything that I could do because I just didn't want to sit here. So, and we've been working together on some things in the community committee. So,
we'll be doing that in a little bit during our.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm just saying hi, and I was excited just to kind of see a board meeting and participate. So yeah.
And we also have a few other guest members of other committees with us tonight, and then also a few more applicants to the to board positions. So I'd like to give them a chance to introduce themselves as their new parents to the community. So James, would you just like to say hi?
Sure. Hello, my name is James Bacon. Thanks for letting me be here tonight.
And Felix as well.
Hi, my name is Felix Ankra. Thanks for having me at your meeting today.
Thank you and welcome. And welcome all to all of our old favorite parents this evening.
Thank you guys all for being here tonight. And I appreciate all of you for, as well as all of you that are currently on the board for your time today. At this point, I think that we'd like to move on to the administrator's report. Cassie will be delivering that tonight. Cassie, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I just want to second the thanks to our guests for being here, and obviously all the work that our board has done this year. Wow, quite a year so far. It definitely feels good to be hopefully in our last phase. We're working hard to be diligent with the mitigation strategies. And I just thought it would be important to point out that to date, we haven't had a positive case at A.P.M. Let's knock on some wood. But we know that positive cases affect our families in many ways, or close contacts. Whatever you have kind of going on in your home or school, it definitely can affect your family in many ways. So I think that with our opening start in January till now, to not have a positive case, I'm really proud of that, and I think we all should be. Today we're going to look at the metrics that we've been using to make sure that we are entering into all of our phases safely and mindfully. And then we'll look at the Panorama report, which is a social and emotional health survey that our students took. So let's start with our metrics here. Those are up. As you can see, we were tracking our sub-failures. And then we put a little more weight on the sub-failures that we were not able to cover in-house. A sub-failure is when a teacher or a para or any staff member puts in for a sub and it's not covered. So that was part of the concern that we had with a lower sub pool in the district. Then we looked at our attendance and the absences, and that is speaking to students who had to be in quarantine, either virtual or in person. As you can see there, it definitely increased, but we still felt it was important to move forward with bringing more students in. If you would just want to, there you go. Then we looked at the technology, what glitches, how classes were affected, how students were affected. Pretty good there, and I definitely applaud our district for kind of being on top of that and getting at those issues as fast as they could. We'll have iReady results coming to parents soon, and we were able to do a, since it's the first year with iReady, our staff was able to engage in some staff development with iReady representatives, and then the last 3 weeks each level, and I dug a little deeper into those results. And because it is the first year and it's still with some testing at home and some testing at school, a lot of our work with iReady is looking at just what the results will give us, what type of data, and then just making sure we're not missing any holes. But you know, there is some wavering on what those results are really showing us given the circumstances. Our mental health considerations are Panorama results, which are coming out today that I can show you today. And then we just had some other qualitative notes. I think it's important to note that some of our families felt more urgency to come in as soon as possible, and we were able to really work with each family and thank the families who were working hard to give others a chance if they needed to ahead of them. So we did have one classroom closure, but we didn't enter it here, and that was a virtual classroom closure. So we'll keep our eye on all of those things, but at this point we're moving forward with everybody in as they want to be. So either learning at home or learning in school. Do you want me to do questions on both things at the end or split it up? Maybe split it up because it's a lot of, yeah. Okay, so any questions on the metrics for our phases?
Cassie, I just have a comment that I want to share. My thanks to two sets of folks. I know that having students virtually at home myself, the virtual parents certainly needed to have a lot of flexibility. And I just, and I think that was part of the realization in order to have virtual and in-person learning. And so I know that the virtual families have, and also anybody has had to do a lot of flexibility. But I wanted to acknowledge that the parents have really had to be flexible. And I see that taking this time has really allowed us to move through the phases as planned. I also want to thank the staff, because I'm looking at the staffing report, and having been a teacher and an educator in the past, I know that covering 8 sub positions in a school during 1 week is a lot. And I know that they put in extra time in order to make sure that there weren't classroom closures. And so I just want to give my thanks publicly to you and your staff for making it work and knowing that it took extra time and effort.
Thanks, Stephanie. I do want to point out that our district did provide each building with a dedicated sub. So that's included in there. So our dedicated sub also wasn't filling any of these jobs, but filling other jobs, but very thankful to have that person in our building each day. And we were lucky enough to find somebody with a Montessori license. So we're very lucky. Also, any of that coverage that our staff did do, I did compensate them for either through a building budget or a district budget. So I just want to let you know that was a priority for me. I want to just point out to everyone too that this is still a very hard job that our staff is doing, and we're not normal yet. We're still in a phase where we're in a compromised situation where we can't re-pick up all the balls that we have set down for a little while. So just a reminder to everyone that any chance you get to support staff members with collaborative conversations and positive interactions, I know that they appreciate that and deserve that. So if there aren't any other questions on the metrics, we'll move on to the panorama results. So this is a survey of, I'll just start explaining it while they're bringing it up. Actually, I'm just going to quick turn off my oven. Hang on, please.
I have the panorama summary to share. I don't have the full document.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's okay. That's actually what we're sharing today. So this was a survey given to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. And through the district, they go up to 12th grade, but at our school, it would end at 6th grade. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. 69 students took this test. Actually, 56 students took the test, but we have 69 total students. So 81% of our students took the test. So I wanted to just relay that, or took this survey, I'm sorry. And it was the first time they took it. Going forward, our district will give this to them twice a year. And we had a good spread of pretty equal numbers, male and female, who completed the survey and at each grade level. So what you'll see here is you'll see the categories of questions. They're looking, and you might see or feel some alliance or some similarities to the HOPE survey that we used to give, if you remember the HOPE survey. But they're asking students about their classroom effort, about their learning strategies, their self-management, and their social awareness. And so they're really getting to asking students how they think they're doing and how they're feeling about how they're doing. And do they feel belonging? Do they feel like they are putting forth their best effort? Overall, this survey is something that we can dig into. We can drill down into who's saying what. Are there trends in different populations, or a grade level, or a different classroom that's finding more success, or that we need to focus more on? And then it also is a screener for families. And when the data is analyzed by the Panorama company or the people who work there, if they notice certain baseline data that comes from a student, and that it's concerning, they'll call the family, and a counselor will talk to the family and see if the family is interested in services for their child. So that's a really great benefit to this survey as well. What I want you to notice here on this page is you have our results that are in the larger bold, and the smaller numbers are the average that the district got in that area. So what stands out to me here is that we're just a little bit higher in each of the areas, which I think is a positive. And I think it's important to note that that's something that we all as parents have been wondering about, and feeling like, our children being left behind? How are they feeling? Do they feel like they belong? And so if not perfect, at least a little higher level here at A.P.M. than the average in Appleton. And I think it's important that it is compared to Appleton, because in Appleton we have done something in a certain way that not everybody has done. So I can also see this compared to a national norm, but the nation just had so many different variables in going back to school. So this I thought was a little bit more significant. Is there another page, Stephanie? No, that was just it.
Yeah, I only have the yeah.
Okay, well, what I would, do you want me to try to see if I have my document with the other pages?
Sorry, I apologize. I didn't realize that I needed the full document, and it's not loading that you. So if you can pull it up to share, because I know you wanted to point out one particular section. And Matt, did you have it? Right, because it's just not loading on my computer. It just spun around. So I only had the summary.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. Although, did you give me sharing?
Yeah, you should have sharing. You should have sharing now. In the meantime, are there questions on the overall stats? I can, while Matt's pulling that up, or on this survey. Steering discussed this on Monday, and we did discuss how we used to give the HOPE survey and how we were kind of trending before the district in polling our students' social emotional health. And oh, I'm really echoing. And sorry about that. And we talked about how this had a little bit more positives in terms of having somebody who could screen the students, follow up with the students, do a little bit of drill down for, and the district is paying for this survey. We were paying out of the board's money for the HOPE survey. So steering saw a lot of benefit in using this particular document, even though we were ahead of the district curve in polling our students with the HOPE survey in previous years.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so this gives you a little bit more insight into what those percentages mean. And what I'd like you to notice on this page is the percentage underneath the bar graph that uses the word favorable. And what favorable means is that students selected one of the top 2 boxes, or top 2 best responses, positive responses. So question 1, how hard do you try to get involved in discussions during class? extremely hard, quite hard, somewhat hard, slightly hard, not hard at all. So we're looking at extremely hard and quite hard being the favorable answers. So that's one thing I'd like you to notice. The second thing that we noticed when we looked at it at steering, and maybe you're noticing that too, is it seems like there's one area that has less favorable answers than some of the others. So what that tells us is we need to dive into that a little bit deeper and see what students need and what things, you know, where we go with that. And what's really great about the resource is they'll give you some, like when I go to it, I can click on that question. I can click on options for resources to give teachers if they'd like. So that's nice to have the resources as well. You can also see what's working well. And I think it's a good reminder for us to make sure that we continue working towards those things so that those students feel like that's a positive for them. If you want to scroll down, you can see the second learning strategies.
Cassie, I think that maybe Kayla has a question. Kayla, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I was just going to ask, when were these done, and are they going to do more of them this year?
Not anymore this year. They did them, I think, in January. Before kids were all in school, or at least at A.P.M.
Were the kids surveyed? Oh,
You said that they would do 2 times a year, though, in next year's.
Yes. So they'll do like the beginning of the year and the end of the year.
with the kids surveyed, was there a mix between virtual and in school, or was this all in class?
It was pushed out. It was anyone. So with 81% of the students taking it, it would be a mix. But it was given to students while A.P.M. was still out of the building. So I think that we kind of talked about that piece about that question about how hard do you try to get into discussion in class, and maybe given the circumstances, one reason that could be lower is because they weren't in class. But all right, the next one. This is self-management. So here I'm looking at, we have some positivity and then some areas where we might want to dive a little deeper. And, really we want to dive into the areas that are working well too. And I believe that Matt included this in your board agenda as an attachment, so you can take some time to look at it and ask me any questions you want. I wanted to give you a little taste of it and just explain those few things so you knew what you're looking at when you saw favorable and who took it and the different categories. So I think there's one more category if you want to scroll, Matt. So if we kind of connect this to our metrics, even though we didn't have this, I would say that these results with the students kind of scoring a little bit higher than the district average would also point to what we've been doing and how we've been going about it has been going in the right direction, and it would support the decisions that that we've made and that you guys have helped us make. So.
All right, it looks like you have a quiet bunch tonight, Cassie.
That's okay. Sometimes no news is good news.
Well,
it's
I guess
a lot of,
I'll just say, I mean, this is great, I think, to have this tool. A, we don't have to pay for it. B, this is something we'll continue to use, I would assume, like in future years. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, it's great to see these results, but, you know, if it was in January and kids were at home, you know, it's kind of, it's hard to read anything out of these results. So you know, but it's a great tool to have, and certainly to compare with the district what was happening at the time. But all this will change for sure the next time we take this, the next time students take this. So.
Yeah, I appreciate the caution in that, but I agree that I think it will be a useful tool. So with that, I'd just like to thank you all again. I mean, the work that you have done has been outstanding in my mind and inspiring, and I've just really felt like we've had some wonderful conversations. We've engaged in some dissonance, and I know this year isn't over yet, but I just want to applaud all your efforts, and I just always felt, and our staff felt like you were here to support us, so I appreciate that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Cassie, and thank you, APM staff, for your guys' flexibility in this past year. You guys have been doing an amazing job, and I think all the parents can agree with that, so thank you. I'd like to move to discussion. I'd like to make a motion for discussion. The community committee recommends setting up a digital social account for A.P.M. families, possibly something such as Tribe or Best Options brought to the board. We'd like to bring this to a vote for the April meeting. So I believe at this time, community committee, you guys have the board, or you have the floor, I mean.
Thanks. Yeah, so I brought this up because we had the thought process of last year when we set up the Google Classroom to have a social platform, kind of, or at least an information platform where parents could connect with each other and somehow be able to get the information from the board and that sort of thing. And as best intended as that was, it didn't work. I don't really know how well people actually delved into it or used the resources. It was the best solution that we could come up with at the time, and that's okay. Obviously, we have the Facebook group, but the problem with Facebook is that not everybody is on it. Not everybody wants to be on Facebook, and it's just not available for everybody, right? So I had thought I had that about maybe a community platform where, like, a social platform where parents would be in charge of it. At this time, maybe the community committee, not the community chair, but the community committee could be in charge of just being an admin, basically. But it would be a platform similar to Facebook where parents can get the correct information from each other. It's separate from Facebook. Anybody can be on it. It's secure. So only A.P.M. Parents would be allowed on there, and staff. So I came up with a couple solutions. So between Ben and I, we came up with the Tribe platform. And then also Ben brought forward Discord, which is different. Okay. So we have two of them that we really were looking at. And to be honest, I think me and him were definitely looking towards more the Discord platform. It's more straightforward, and it just makes a lot of sense to have something so that people can actually be on it. You can use it as an app, you can use it as desktop, you can have notifications, however you want. And it's just a great way of having all the information that APM families need in one place without the distraction of Facebook, because we know how distracting that is. Okay. So I'm going to just show. What do you think, Ben? Should we show the tribe one first, or should we just show Discord, since that's kind of what we were looking at?
It's up to you. I don't know how much time we have, so.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of time here. So can I share my screen? Yep. So I'm gonna just show Discord here. Oops. There, you should be able to see it. So Discord is, it's very similar to Slack. If anybody is familiar with Slack, it's a really great platform set up for communication. Okay. So Ben had set this up already in a way that, you know, we can change some things. It doesn't have to look just like this, but basically everybody will get a link that allows them to come into this platform. You set up your profile, and then we have different channels, these are called. So welcome, announcements, so maybe important announcements that there might be, resources, set up. So Ben said we could probably set up a video to show actually how to use the platform. Once you get used to it, it's not hard to use at all. We have classroom set up, so families can join the classroom they're in. So for example, I would be in Miss Marine and Miss Fowler's class this year, along with the other families that are in that class. So then you have, if you have specific questions, then you can go into that classroom. We have different topics, so maybe general, like chat, you know, things that people want to talk about, A.P.M. events. So this would be a place where we could set up, we're playing around with stuff here. We could set up, you know, like the Harvest Moon is coming up. So different, like how it would look. We're not sure exactly how we want to put it. We're going to be able to put pictures and things like that, but actually we can set up events. We can also set up channels in that we can have meetings. So if we have a parent chat, or if, I'm not sure if the board would be able to use this at all. Right now we are using Stephanie's Zoom with Lawrence and stuff like that. So I don't know how that would work, but this can be a meeting room where people can actually come and like meet together. And then we can have communities in here too. So the different, or committees. So there's different committees in the board. So if we have specific information as far as like community or diversity or whatever, if you have different announcements that you want to share, you can share them in there. And again, people can have notifications turned on for any one of these, which is pretty cool. I like how straightforward this is. There's not a lot to mess around in. The nice thing about this one is that whoever's the admin, and it could be community members or community committee members. It could be, eventually, it would be great to have a PTA at A.P.M. But it could be people that would be in charge of this, and then it would be easy to pass along. We also had the idea of tribe, and I'll just briefly show you this. It's more of a Facebook look. It's very customizable, which could be challenging for an admin person. But again, it's a very similar kind of setup on the side and kind of a feed below. So either way is really, it's going to work. But I think that is a great solution for the problem that we have, in that Facebook isn't for everybody. It's also the feeds and things like that can be a little confusing as well. And I just felt like this was a really good way of connecting people and just having more of a community feel at the A.P.M. So again, we're going to kind of go through this and see, you know, what's going to work. We'd like to invite people, board members, to become part of this and play around with. And again, I think we're going to roll with Discord again because it's so straightforward, and it's going to be easier for, I think it's going to be pretty easy for people to figure out once they get into it and start playing around. So any questions at all.
I have a question, Andrea. This Discord platform, you said it can be, do you have to use the app, or could I from my phone still access it via website?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So you can get it on your desktop. There's an app you can download, and pretty much most websites you can just use from your phone web browser. So yeah. The platform of Tribe does not have an app at all. And that one also is a little squirrely as far as support. Discord's got it figured out. So that was another thing I liked about Discord.
I will quickly respond to your question about holding meetings on it. We could do something, a parent chat. This is great for, like, I love this for parent chat. Probably because of open meeting laws, we couldn't use it for board meetings because it would have to be, technically a board meeting should be drop-inable, if that makes sense, which is why we have to, this is really difficult this year, but so.
Right.
They are implementing a new feature similar to, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Clubhouse. It's another similar platform like Discord. They are implementing a feature that would allow more of like a drop-in, like people could just drop in type thing. So just so you know.
Do you have an estimated, like, do they give a date on that, Ben?
The article on that feature showed up in my Google feed randomly. I just use Discord a lot, so they just announced that feature. I can't remember if there was a date. I don't have it on hand right now. I'd have to look it up.
Sorry, wasn't trying to put you on spot.
Nope, that's fine. I don't have it. Sorry, but I can I can get that info to you.
Ben has a really big background in information technology, so he's on it. This is all good stuff.
Michelle,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Michelle, it looks like you have a question.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's no cost involved.
No cost. Yeah, it's free. Both of the platforms are free. Tribe would be free up to a point, but all the things that you would need to pay for in Tribe is definitely not what we would need for A.P.M. So, but Discord is free. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It's a matter of playing around with it. Again, I think that we'd like to, have some board members, if you guys want to get in there and just set up a profile and just try to start conversations and see how things go. We can kind of, change some things up depending on what we think. And it's all customizable. There's a ton of stuff you can do on here. Yeah, Derek.
So typically when you have something on the web that is free, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Do we know what kind of data that they're mining from here? Because obviously somebody doesn't spend the time to create a platform like this without...
They do have a premium version of Discord that you can pay for, but we're never going to need that for this type of community. The information, I can pull up the list for you. I've looked at it. It's not as invasive as Facebook or things like that. If that's what you're kind of looking at. I have looked at that list though.
Yeah.
Paige, did you have a question?
Well, I don't know if it's a question, but yeah, I think that this sounds great, and I stepped out for a second, but as long as I think we have a link to the Facebook community, and maybe you mentioned this, for them to sign up, because I know that that's pretty strong. Yeah, I think if, we can connect the Facebook people and pull them in this direction. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So what our plan is to, once we'll get this kind of set up and rolling, but obviously we'll have this, you guys will vote on this, and then we'll have this ready to show or start. I'm hoping before the end of this year, because I want to start getting people on it. You don't want to everybody kind of signs off of school basically in the summer. So we kind of want to start this before the end of the year if possible, or at least just get awareness out. So I'm definitely going to work with Jenny on making sure all the families get their emails, their invites in the emails. We'll post it on the Facebook group. And basically, obviously we're not in charge of the Facebook group. That's fine. If that wants to stay out there, that's fine. But all the board information and anything that we want to share with people should go to this platform. So we can encourage people to use this more. And again, it's super secure. And then not a parent or whatever is just doing the admin part of Facebook. It's just a great thing. So
it's not going to be like, hey, my child forgot to bring his, boots to school, or like that kind of stuff. It's not going to be used for that. It's more for.
It can go to general. You can go right here to general if you want. Okay. So it can be used just like Facebook in that you can tag people, you can use emojis and GIFs. You could do all sorts of stuff. So you can
upload pictures. I mean, there's a whole section. I don't know if you showed that, highlighted that. There's I made a channel for pictures. So if parents wanted to share pictures of events and stuff, and there's a place you can submit pictures for yearbook and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
and we can add more channels if there's if we tend to see that people have questions about this or that, or if there's a common theme, it's very customizable in the channel. So, or you can search, if there's something that you're trying to look for, but it'll be pretty nice. So easier to find than on Facebook too, I think. So there's pros and cons to everything for sure. All right, Matt, I see you have a question.
Yeah, can you send sign up links for both platforms to me at the secretary address, and then I can push that out to the whole board for them to sign up?
Yeah, so, and yes, I can. I will do that. So the one for A.P.M., the tribe one is pretty easy. The Discord one, we can send out a invite, and that one will, what has it been? I think that you can.
So you can have an unexpiring forever link, or you can have an expiring link. It's preferable to do an expiring link because if that link just gets out there, anyone can just click the link and join the server. So it's preferable if you can have a 7-day expiring link. You just got to make sure you click on it within 7 days. Yeah, and we can always send out another link too if it does expire.
Yeah, we'll get that to you. Sarah?
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for all your work on this. This does look really great. I'm wondering how accessible it is for families that may speak multiple languages, and if it's just like a switch that you turn on and off to select another language. Thank you.
Question. That's a good question. I don't know. Does Facebook have that? I don't even know if Facebook has that. Maybe they do.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I don't obviously use the foreign language thing. We can look into that. Ben, do you know anything about that?
Not off the top of my head. I'm assuming it's not a built-in feature of Discord, but there may or may not be a bot that I could find that can do it for Discord. I'd have to look.
Yeah, we can look into
you.
Just a quick Google does say that you can.
Perfect.
In the settings somewhere.
I'm sorry, Matt, I'm hard of hearing. Was that a can like yes or a can't like no?
You are able to. It is a thing.
Yeah.
It actually changes the words that people type, it translates that, or it just translates the system information, the actual system. What is your question, Sarah? Is it translating actual people's posts or just the system information?
Thank you. I'm really wondering if it translates for both and how accessible it is. For example, if I spoke Spanish and I could understand the system, but if I can't be a part of the conversation, it wouldn't really be accessible to someone that speaks an alternative language. And also just to consider how easy it is to turn on and off that feature. I have worked with interpreters and translators in the past, and sometimes it can be messy working with someone of a different language. So just sharing that food for thought.
Okay, we can look into it.
At this point, I'd like to close the discussion and ask that anyone with further questions direct them to Andrea. Andrea, I believe you can be reached via email or through the community email.
Yep.
And I'd like to move on to steering committee updates for the president's report. Thank you, Stephanie. You have the floor.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we really will move through steering pretty quickly here. I don't have a lot to report. We are in the middle of soliciting and reviewing applications for board positions. We do have quite a few board positions open this year. On steering, we have a secretary and the president-elect positions open. And then we have several chairs and co-chairs open. So we invite anyone who didn't apply yet to apply. We are reviewing applications right now as a steering committee, and we'll bring forward a slate of recommendations to the April board meeting. Thank you all for those of you who have applied and who are continuing on in your roles. I also wanted to, since this is a committee work time, I wanted to really refer committees, kind of echoing Cassie's admin update. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. We're still in that phase. So there are still guidelines and rules that we are under obligation to follow as a board when we hold committee events. So I quickly wanted to just review those. For all school-sponsored events, just make sure that we are as inclusive as possible, that all health, just keep in mind that we have virtual learners, we have in-person learners, we have families who are sharing multiple technologies in order to get things done. So we're all just to think about that as we plan events. That all health and safety guidelines from AASD are being followed. Right now, Cassie has given steering the update that elementary schools are not hosting co-curriculars now. That's still in place. Masking and social distancing are in place for all school grounds, which includes Plowman Park for Appleton Public Montessori. I wanted to remind the committees that you have funds for use that we approved in the strategic plan at the beginning of the year. So you can use those funds per your strategic plan. And you may also request further funds from the board. I mean, we're not saying that like we have unlimited infinite pockets, but if you have an idea or an event that would build community that you need to use outside of your budget, please don't hesitate to bring those to steering and the board depending on the dollar amount, so that we can make your dreams possible as much as we can. And that if you have an idea, please seek input from the administrator and the educators before implementing activities to fit within the educational structure and building needs. Okay. Cassie, did I leave anything out? Okay. All right. Derek, I think you are next.
Thanks, Stephanie. So myself and Cassie were charged with a task force looking at what A.P.M.A can go ahead and do from a marketing perspective. Most recently, we reached out to Red Shoe Incorporated, who put together a proposal for us. And while they needed to actually reschedule our Zoom call, they did go ahead and forward that proposal. And we do have some unanswered questions left for them. So I don't think we're ready to make a formal recommendation, but I did want to share with the board kind of where they were at and what their process was for A.P.M.A. So Red Shoe had prepared a phased approach for marketing needs. And one of the things that I specifically liked about Red Shoe is that they have a deep understanding of working with and understanding diverse populations as it's developed and currently leads the Tri-County Multicultural Communications Committee for the region here. Also, Red Shoe has worked with a number of school districts over the years, including Appleton Area School District in a variety of capacities as they launched their classroom to careers program. They worked with the Racine Unified School District and Hortonville area school district. So they do have some experience working with public schools out there. They came and decided to do a phased-in approach to this marketing strategy. The first phase would be a strategy development where they would actually come on site or come a part of these meetings to really dive into what we're looking to accomplish, what concerns we have, basically just kind of doing some fact finding to understand our needs, our wishes, our timelines, our budgets, all that kind of stuff. Their next phase is one that Cassie would probably prefer us to go ahead and put towards the end of it, based on her questions there, but was website development. And while we know that our website is lacking, right now it's provided from AASD free. So maybe if there's ways that we can be able to work around the potential limitations AASD has out there, but still try to improve it, sounds better than paying for it right now. But the rest of the strategies in the 6-phase strategy would be good, from developing the brochure, social media, audit and recommendations, video production, which is actually considerably less than what we had paid for in the past for our video production. And then the last would be a large event fundraising, the planning and execution of that. But because of COVID, they had that as their last phase, just because I said it would be a 2022 initiative at best. So once Cassie and I get some of our answers regarding AASD, the website aspect, that's where we'll then be able to make a little bit more of a formal recommendation. But things are in motion. And I guess I'll open it up to questions at this point. Great group tonight.
Oh. I'll
Move
get
it along.
I mean, I feel like, and I have my own business and I don't market myself like I should, but I think that there are huge opportunities out there where you don't have to spend like $1, Facebook or Twitter, whatever, all these things. I don't know enough about that. Like, I'm on Facebook, but I don't know enough about all of these other online opportunities. Certainly we need some graphics and things like that. Okay. I guess I don't know what you're thinking about as far as like budget goes. Like if there's just ways to kind of go about promotion, that doesn't cost us, thousands of dollars. Just a question. I know nothing about what I'm talking about. Just a question.
So when we looked at the website and let's say looked at the videos that were out there, we knew that those were very dated. When we went back and explored a little bit about what that cost was to go ahead and update those videos the last time, I believe the cost was somewhere around $10,000. So now with maybe a little bit more of a competitive strategy there, their video production came in at $5,800. So that would allow us to be able to have that consultation with them. And to your point, Paige, as far as social media, which provides a lot of free opportunities out there, that they would do that audit and recommendation to go ahead and utilize sites like that to help promote. The other thing that I think would be important would be having a marketing strategy to be able to target the diverse community that we're looking to try to also target. Because one of the things that's lacking us from expansion is our lack of diversity, according to AASD. So if we can be able to pinpoint what that looks like, and then how do we then target marketing efforts to them to be able to help them figure out how to go ahead and try to enroll in our school, I think that would be key. That being said, Cassie had a great point. We already have one of the largest wait lists that's out there. Now, how that gets impacted from COVID would be really interesting to go ahead and see, what the difference was, if we had 300 before or 200 before, but now we only have, 170. I think that would be good to know. And I don't want that to go away, because at some point in time, I would love the opportunity for A.P.M. to go ahead and expand and be able to share this type of learning with more in the district itself. But we will not be able to do that unless we have diversity. Another avenue that we have looked at would be looking for a consultant, somebody who understands the rules and laws, the programs that are established, to be able to find opportunities to maybe get things such as busing, transportation. If there is federal funds for the district to go tackle, that would be another avenue. Unfortunately, my contact that I knew of that had that type of experience, while he provided us some really great information, he just took on 2 new clients that are going to eat up his time and does not have an opportunity to take on a third on top of what his workload already is. But that can be another avenue where we just look to pay via a consultant to try to get that diversity done.
Well, okay, so while you're saying that, so Nicole, are you still, I see you're on your iPhone. Nicole, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Nicole, like Bunsley, I guess I'm right.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, no,
No, this is Nicole Walkenfuss.
Oh, sorry. Hi,
That's
Nicole.
okay.
So, I guess so Nicole, well, and Stephanie, you can probably, it's been passed down to you, I suppose, all the stuff with busing and that nightmare, right? And maybe you can, I mean, certainly we would love that. We would love to have busing out to the school. That makes us more diverse. I mean, that's the problem. And maybe you can talk to that, or maybe we don't want to go down that rabbit hole tonight.
Well, so what I would like us to do is I would like, because we didn't put this in as a discussion point, it's just an update at this time. And that is a giant conversation page that has a ream of paper connected to it. What I'd like you to do, so we set up a task force 2 months ago now that Derek and Cassie have been working on to look at specifically what it looks like to market and show the assets that our school has. And so at this point, I think if you have questions or concerns, I think you should direct those to Derek, because Derek is heading that task force, because those are the questions and concerns that Cassie and him need to bring to the consultants as they bring their proposals to the table. So this is why they're meeting with marketing people in the area to think about whether or not it is the right direction for our school. And then Derek and Cassie, if you are, when you're meeting or whatever, if you can just, if you're interested in working with Derek and Cassie on that task force, please contact Derek so that you can work closely with them. Because it is a big decision, it is a costly decision, but it is also, I think Derek is absolutely correct. Our inability to diversify the school according to the metrics that Appleton Area School District has given us is impacting our ability to expand in many ways. Okay. All right.
Yes, I agree. And just from being on the board for so many years, yes. I mean, it's a problem. And part of the problem is getting kids to the school. So transportation. Anyway, Derek, thank you. All of you guys doing your work. I appreciate it.
So we would normally move on to the treasurer's report, a review of current financials. It has appeared that Dan is absent today, so we will move on, and I believe we will include a report in the minutes. Is that typically correct, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Okay. And we will also, do I make a motion to amend the agenda then? Am I allowed to do that as the president, or does someone else have to do it because there's the handbook?
Oh, I can do the handbook update.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie.
So yeah. We've had a handbook task force reviewing and revising the handbook that has included myself, Sarah Scanlon, and Dan Skripczak. We are bringing that to the April steering meeting to review, and then we will bring it to the April board meeting for a first look and discussion, and then we will bring it Sarah will bring it to the May meeting as for the new board to vote in at that meeting. So that way it will give everyone who's both on the old board and the new board a way to look and comment on the handbook as we move forward. Any questions on the handbook? This has been a steering committee goal since 2017. So it is time to get it done.
Okay, if there's no questions, we'll move on to the teacher advisory report. Ashley, you have the floor.
Yes, no, it's great getting to our last phase and having all the children in person that want to be in person and still doing the virtual classes and everything. I feel like children have made a great transition, and thank you to families and everything for being flexible with all of that. I know we are diving into a lot of plant identification, plant care, and doing a lot with flowers that are coming up, parts of trees, trying to get outside a lot, and doing a lot of that identification and stuff in the classroom. So it's been fun and exciting for the kids to do that, and parts of animals and a lot of the labeling and stuff like that. So yeah, just finding the joy in seeing the children and stuff every day is great. So. Yeah.
I have the E1 update. That's our first, second, and third graders. They are just about to start maps of Africa, get into zoology, amphibians, reptiles, and birds. They're excited about that.
Thank you, Cassie and Ashley.
So for E2, sorry, my video is not working. But for E2, we are really grateful to have the 5th and 6th graders back in full. That was just a tricky situation for us to have them 2 days a week and, you know, navigate and manage that. So we're happy to have them all back. And just, you know, starting to finish up our year-long project and get those 3D models and trifolds made, which are always really exciting. So we're just grateful to have them back. So that's our big news right now.
And we have PE.
Yes. All right.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Okay. At this point, because we're moving on to a working meeting, we'd like to make an announcement that only committees with updates need to share. We'd like to start with community committee. Do you guys have updates that you need to share?
Yes, we're working on the teacher appreciation. I will be posting in the Facebook group, and it would be best if it was in a different platform, but that's okay. I'll be posting in the Facebook group and also getting information to Jenny to send out an email about the details on what we're thinking with that. If anybody is interested in actually being part of the committee as far as this week that goes, we'd appreciate any kind of volunteering and help with that. But I'll have some sign up geniuses and some other things that I will be posting about that.
Thank you, Andrea. Diversity, do you have an update? Michelle?
Nope, no updates tonight.
Thank you, Michelle.
But yay on that geocaching diversity E&E and community. That was a lovely event and we had lovely weather, and I think everyone who did it just really loved it. So thank you all.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
And I hear from the kids it continues on through their hikes too.
Yay, that's awesome.
Heather, E&E, do you guys have a update today? Oh, Miss Heather not here. Oh.
The only thing we have to say is emotionally and unfortunately, we won't be having the official yearbook this year. That's all we have for now.
Heather, I'm sure that that is really just awful news for you to take. And so I just want to say, like, thank you for holding that emotional stuff for us. Do you need any help, or will you be working on that to kind of think about plans or anything for an unofficial yearbook?
We're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Page Facilities Committee, do you guys have an update today?
I mean, yeah, we've got some stuff going on. I don't know if you guys want to see, or if you just want me to just mention what we're doing and then I go up like breakout rooms.
Yeah, a quick update I think would be good because we are doing a working meeting today.
Okay, so we've got I designed what we're doing for, or hopefully some conceptual designs for Jenny's space and the new foyer, I guess if you want to call it. So that was one thing. I'm happy to share with the group if you guys want.
We need to keep they need to go to the yeah.
So whatever. Anyway, we're working on it, and we're working on according to the staff, they really wanted outdoor shade areas. So that was another conceptual design that we've been working on. So yep, we'll work on it on our own. Thank you. I do want to know, I guess, as far as like how much money, I guess I'll have to put together sort of a budget, but how much money you guys will allow us to spend. So we'll come back to you with that.
Awesome.
Thank you, Paige. For Resources Committee, the only update really is that we are currently still working on silent auction. We have a Sign Up Genius coming out for families to volunteer to donate or volunteer to help with the silent auction. And we will be rethinking some of our other fundraisers just to make sure that we are within guidelines. Other than that, that would be it for today. And we can move to the volunteer needs update. Stephanie, do you have an update for that one?
I think we're good. Cassie, did you have volunteer needs, or are those filled now at the school? I think we're good on volunteers in the school.
Yeah, we had a handful of volunteers help us with lunch, and then we fortunately got a hire from Chartwell, so we were able to thank the volunteers and let them know they were not needed, but they all offered to volunteer for something else if we needed. So I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to ask if we have a motion to adjourn. Paige, do we have a second? Andrea. Thank you, Andrea and Paige.